Hey everybody, welcome back. Got a little quick video here on AMD versus OER rear frame rails for first gen F-bodies, particularly the 68 and 69 F-body cars. Now, what I've done is I ordered some OER frame rails probably actually almost 3 months ago, been on back order, no idea on the fill date, and I got tired of waiting for them, so I ordered some from AMD. The ones from AMD showed up like 3 days later, and that's great. And then I actually made a mistake and I forgot to cancel the order for the OER ones. No big deal, because I thought, why not do a video on comparing them side by side, because they look the same, they're listed, they fit the same car, but what is really different besides $150 a piece difference? We're talking about the OER ones like $110, $115 I think I paid for them, and the AMD ones $250 or something like that. So I'll look up the price, but nonetheless, nearly $120 difference. You can almost buy two frame rails, OER brand versus one AMD. So what are you getting for your money? That's what I'm about to show you. Well, let's start right here. I laid them out here side by side. I've got some masking tape so I can identify which one's which, so you can keep tabs, so you can, keep me straight too in case I mix them up, because they look very, very similar. This one's our OER one, which has the 2 stickers on it, and that's the AMD one back here. Now, looking at them side by side, of course, they match the same shapes, same number of holes, where they mount, like, let's say the spring mount or the rubber bump stop mount, same. Piece of metal weld inside, 2 pilot holes drilled here for other brackets. Comparing the spot welds for the bracing here for the rear shackle mounts, same number of spot welds, about the same consistency and diameter, so everything visibly is looking identical, so really not a whole lot of difference. I went ahead and checked it with my gauge here, and they're both the exact same heavy gauge steel. It's not quite 1/8 of an inch, but it's a little more than 14, so it's kind of in between, but they're both measuring out the same. So a quick visual, I don't see anything out of the ordinary, but we're going to do one better. I made this frame rail jig up a few episodes ago to aid in assembling these cars. And I tell you what, it works phenomenally, because I still have the original trunk floor and frame rails. So I'm going to mount them onto here and make sure it hits all my 3 points like it's supposed to. And that'll give us maybe a good reference what's really the difference between these two. And of course, if you haven't seen this thing here, there's a hole here in the front. That lines up with the hole right here on the bottom of the frame. I can put a bolt through it like an alignment pin. Then it should lay down real tight against here. And then the rear spring shackle mount lays in that. So as long as these lay out flat in that, or do not lay flat, maybe that's the difference. And that's what I'm going to try them out here. So I'm going to get this one here mounted up first. We're going to go ahead and mount up the AMD frame rail and see how it lines up. All right, we've got the AMD frame rail all mounted up in the frame rail jig. There's the bolt I'm talking about here. Usually a bolt that goes through the hole, and that's an alignment point. Now that's where your front spring shackle mount actually bolts to the floor pan. There's 3 total bolts, but that's one only uses a point of reference. So that's all bolted in place and secure, laid down tight to my bracket here. The next point it should come in contact is right here. I run tight here and here, so that's spot on. And then back here in the back, this is where the rear spring shackle lines up, and the center line is right here to that hole. That's actually right on the money. And also this here little dip rides in that pocket. So the AMD frame rail lays right in there with no persuasion. Didn't have to get the ratchet straps, hammers, or screws, or clamps. I actually get that thing in there, so it fits the contour just like the factory one. So let's try out the OER and see how it compares. Okay, now this one's actually looking basically spot on. Put my bolt back through the hole here, run in a few turns, that lines it up. We're pulled up to here, still tight in here, and then the last point's back here, and it looks exactly the same. This is laying right in the spot. So why did I pay $100 more for that one? I have no idea at this point. They're actually measuring up about 100% the same. The only thing I've looked at here and been studying it, the only difference that I'm finding, and it's a pretty small detail, but for you sticklers out there, there's this inner brace welded on the inside. Now, as you can see, it only goes on the one side. This is the outside of the car, inside of the car. This one's orientated how the factory did it. And that's the AMD one. OER, on the other hand, well, they put it in backwards. Again, I don't really think it's going to affect the strength a whole lot, but technically that is not the correct orientation, because you can actually look here. This is the passenger side frame rail. So imagine this is the trunk floor. This is the passenger side frame rail. Here on this car, and if you look inside here, this is the inside. It has the additional bracing on it. So that's the only thing that I'm seeing different. So $100, I guess, gets that orientated the right way. So the question you need to ask yourself, is it worth $100 more just for that little bracket that no one's ever going to see ever again to be orientated the right way? The only telltale sign is the little spot welds on the outside, which, by the way, aren't the right diameter or shape from the original anyway. I guess that's up to you. Now, I have spent the money initially because here's the scenario what actually happened. I actually ordered these OER frame rails. I was going to use them for patches for the original frame rails, just because I didn't want to trash the old frame rails, but I didn't want to spend $250 on AMD ones just to cut them up. Well, end result, I ordered the OER ones. 3 months later, I never got them. I went ahead and ordered the AMD ones. I decided I was going to replace the whole frame rail because I had found enough damage. I just didn't feel it was worth patching those as opposed to replacing them. So I ordered AMD. 3 days later, I had them. So there was the bonus there. I had them quick. So if time's an issue, AMD had them in stock. OER, well, they're a whole lot cheaper, but it took 3 months to get those. So maybe that's the money you're spending for the, I guess, convenience of having them quick. So if your car is on hold waiting to get it done, maybe it's worth spending the extra bucks. But for me in the future, I'll probably order the OER ones. Now, that being said, to be fair, I have bought stuff from all the manufacturers over the years, and some have had great parts and some have had not so great parts. And I have a theory, but I can't prove it. Maybe someone out there can help me with this, but every single one of these parts, I can typically find a little gold sticker that says made in Taiwan. Well, I can't say that there can't be that many people stamping components in Taiwan. Makes you kind of wonder if there's only one company and they kind of sort out what they think's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and they send them to the highest bidder for the good stuff. Let's say they just got done reworking the dies, running a heavier gauge through them, and they sell those to AMD, and then the stuff that maybe is not so stellar or the die is a little more worn out or use the wrong gauge, and they sell those to the other companies. That's just a theory. I can't prove it. I'd love to figure that out someday. But in this case, side-by-side comparison, nothing. I'd buy the OER one. So I hope this helps you out making a decision which way to go with your build. Save a few bucks. Might have to wait a little longer to get them, but you're going to save $250. And that goes a long way when putting these cars together. But now I have 2 sets of frame rails. What the heck am I going to do with them? I'm sure I can find a car to throw them in, so it's not going to be a problem. Just in the future, I know what I'm going to do. So I hope you found this information helpful, beneficial, and of course, any things like this I can help you with. Man, I'd love to keep you going on track, on budget for your ride just the same. So anyway, I've had enough here today. It's still 95 degrees warm. As you can see, the sun is just blazing hot and basically bleaching everything out, melting everything. So I want to call it quits, clean up my toys. I'll grab the camera next time out here playing, and we'll get you guys involved, and we'll catch you then. Now, this is, of course, happening a couple days later, but while editing the videos, I actually stumbled upon something I didn't see the first time around. Now, I had a theory that all this stuff is stamped in Taiwan, which that's what it says here, and they blacked out here on this one. This is the OER frame rail. But as you can tell, these 2 stickers, this is the one off the AMD rail. It wasn't visible in that video, or previous video here, but in the previous video when I was actually doing the measurements, this is a sticker that I peeled off it. See anything here kind of peculiar?